What was to be an interview which would define the legacy of the first woman White House Chief of Staff has now turned into a massive controversy, with Susie Wiles becoming the news herself. In a two-part interview released by Vanity Fair magazine, Wiles, it seems, has had a lot to say over the last 11 months. It wasn't just about her role as a close Trump aide, but she had a lot to say about everyone in the administration, including the president himself. While she has disputed several parts of the interview and claimed a significant disregard to context in what she has said, here's a quick look at some remarks by her that have sent waves across American political landscape. On the US-Venezuela tensions, Wiles, referring to Donald Trump, has said, and I quote, "He wants to keep on blowing boats up until Maduro cries uncle." One of the greatest untold stories of the US government is the talents of the CIA. Remember, this is in complete contrast to how Trump justifies the boat attacks, calling it a drug war. The conflict between the two nations has escalated to the point that Trump has ordered what he calls a total and complete blockade of sanctioned oil vessels heading in and out of Venezuela. Susie Wiles. The American president had praised Israeli armed forces and made no mention of the Palestinian civilians killed back then. On this, Wiles has said that Trump does not realize there is an audience in the US that does not love it. But it was not just Trump. Susie Wiles did not spare the Vice President of America either. According to the interview's excerpts, she called JD Vance a conspiracy theorist. But Vance has downplayed this remark and praised the Chief of Staff's loyalty to Trump.
And Susie Wiles, we have our disagreements. We agree on much more than we disagree, but I've never seen her be disloyal to the President of the United States, and that makes her the best White House Chief of Staff that I think the President could ask for.
Well, Wiles also did not take kindly to the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, who has found herself under the spotlight for the release of the Epstein files. According to the publication, Wiles has slammed Bondi for a botched-up job in the early stages of handling the Epstein files saga. Now, surprisingly, the entire administration has come forward in defense of their colleague, from Bondi to Christine Noem to the White House press secretary. Everyone has hailed the Chief of Staff's work and dedication. In terms of the power structure and influence that she exudes, remember, Susie Wiles is perhaps the most powerful person in the U.S. administration after the president himself. As the administration approaches the one-year mark, her remarks, though disputed to an extent, raises questions. Is all not well within the Trump administration? Or is it really a hit piece by Vanity Fair, as the entire Trump cabinet claims? Let's decode this entire controversy for you. We're joined by Mr. Richard William Painter, who's a lawyer and professor at the University of Minnesota Law School. He's joining us live from Minnesota. Mr. Painter, thanks very much. You're also somebody who's had, an experience of working with the George W. Bush administration. So I want to ask you how you see this entire controversy. She's not just called Donald Trump as somebody who's had an alcoholic's personality, but she's also given away the location of the deep state, as it is called. She said deep state is not in the U.S. State of Department. It is, in fact, in a military-industrial logistics complex. So much more that has been said by Susie Wiles. What do you make of it?
Well, I've never seen a White House Chief of Staff give this type of an interview in any administration. Certainly didn't happen in the Bush administration. And I think it indicates that there's quite a bit of chaos in the Trump White House that this would happen. We'll see where it goes from here. The president thrives on chaos in some circumstances. It's a very different administration, that of George W. Bush or President Obama or some of the others. Where, as I said, this would never happen. You'd never have an interview with Vanity Fair with a White House Chief of Staff, probably at all, and certainly not an interview where the White House Chief of Staff was saying things like this.
Mr. Painter, do you buy the claim that the entire Trump administration is saying that this is a hit piece? Because, all of them have posed for a photograph, they've given out interviews, they know what they're doing, and therefore Susie Wiles also knew what she's doing.
Oh, I think she certainly doesn't know what she was doing. And, it's a hit piece in the sense that it doesn't look good for the Trump administration, doesn't make the White House look very disciplined. It's a serious concern that the president is ordering these strikes on boats off the coast of Venezuela and other unilateral actions here without the consent of Congress. Yet his White House staff appears to be in some disarray. This is definitely a matter of concern.
She's talked about, Mr. Painter, about Venezuela, about Vladimir Putin, about Prime Minister Netanyahu. She's spoken about a lot of issues, a plethora of issues that might impact the upcoming midterm elections. Do you think this sort of an interview will have an impact on the midterms?
Well, it may. We'll see where things go with the midterms. I mean, the vast majority of voters are concerned about the direction of our economy, that inflation still is a problem. I don't think the voters want the president getting us involved in foreign wars, particularly without the consent of Congress. So what's going on down in Venezuela is increasingly of a concern to many voters. If the White House appears to be chaotic, that's not going to show that we have quality leadership there. Now, whether the Democrats can run good candidates to get elected to the United States Congress is a separate conversation. They have problems in their own party as well. And indeed, one of the reasons Donald Trump was elected was that President Biden clearly was not fit for a second term, and yet a lot of Democrats covered that up and had to switch candidates at the last moment. So we've got disarray in both political parties, and we'll see how that plays out in the elections.
This is exactly what I was coming to next, Mr. Painter. The fact that, yes, there are a lot of issues at hand where voters will be looking at and how fair and how far the Trump administration has worked on these issues. But this kind of an interview, does it also, for Americans particularly, reflect the kind of rift that perhaps lies within the Trump administration? Yes, the entire cabinet has converged to defend Susie Wiles. They're saying we're one family. But obviously the kind of comments that have been made reflect some sort of rift, some sort of differences lying there.
Well, there certainly are differences within the Trump administration. We've seen this in the Republican Party, differences between the extremists who embrace racist and anti-Semitic rhetoric and those who are closer to the mainstream. The Democratic Party, too, has its conflicts between extremists who also embrace racist and anti-Semitic rhetoric and those who are closer to the mainstream. So this is increasingly a factor in American politics. Sometimes the people who make the most noise get the most attention, which is part of why I think you see more and more people giving these types of interviews. They get attention, and with attention comes political power.
All right. Let's wait and watch how this really moves forward. I'll leave it there. Mr. Richard Painter, thank you very much for joining us on WION and sharing your perspective.
Well, thank you.